Today's video, which is part 2 of my series on military veterans transitioning into the civilian jobs, I'm going to give you 4 more powerful tips that can help you in your quest to transition and start your second career. Let's go. Now, the first thing I want to talk about in this video, and it is incredibly powerful, is you need to maximize you leveraging the different veteran networks that are out there. Now, there are a ton of systems in place that are set up to help veterans. Probably not enough though. But if you want to go on LinkedIn, for example, and you want to search groups, there are so many different groups out there with people who have transitioned from the military into civilian life. And in those groups, it is absolutely teeming with people who have experienced what you were about to experience. They know what you were going through. They know what you were about to go through. They can give you specific tips, strategies, and not only that, if you do a good job of building relationships with these people, they could be people who actually give you opportunity, get you interviews into their company. So not only can they tell you, hey, here's what I did, here's what I learned, here was the biggest lesson for me, here's what I did to help me along my way, they might also say, you know what, I've got an opening at my company that could be great with you. So one of the first things I would do is I would create a great LinkedIn profile. I would join a bunch of military veteran groups. I would go in there, I would introduce myself, I would comment on other people's posts, I'd reach out to people, send connection requests, and schedule 15-minute conversations with them and say, hey, I am transitioning out of the military in the next couple of months here. I saw that you did it a few years ago. I would love to connect with you and learn a little bit more about your experience. And I would do that a handful of times because if you properly leverage those networks, it can lead to an abundance of opportunity. Not only will you learn, not only will you understand what jobs might make sense for you in your transition, but it is highly likely that some of those people will want to help you because they were once you, maybe just a few years ago. So that's the first thing I want to talk about in this video. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is I want you to do that with people who were not in the military, people who are just in the civilian workforce in industries you are interested in, because there is a ton of value that you can extract there. And what's really nice about this is first, do this in military groups, right? Do this in the veteran groups on LinkedIn, build connections, use it as practice, right? I mean, it's going to be incredibly beneficial, but it's going to be a little bit easier probably because you are with people who probably feel connected to you, understand your experience uniquely, and are there to benefit you. But once you've done that, I want you to replicate that in other groups. So say you're interested in going into manufacturing and engineering or production or energy or whatever it is. Join groups like that on LinkedIn and do the exact same thing. Introduce yourself, comment in the group, comment on other people's things, like other people's posts, and then start intentionally connecting with people who are in the spaces you want to move into. Step 1, do it in the military veteran groups. Step 2, do that in the industries you are interested in. Again, that intentional networking is going to pay dividends in a massive way. Hey, by the way, if you like this video, if you're finding value, please do me a favor, hit that like button. It is free to you, and it tells YouTube I don't suck, and it helps me a lot and motivates me to make more videos like this. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Also free. The next thing I want you to be intentional about is demonstrating cultural fit in an interview. Now, this might not be something you've had to do while you're in the military, but in civilian life and in civilian interviews, this type of thing is really important and holds weight. Some of you are thinking, Ben, how am I going to go about showing I am a good cultural fit with a company I don't belong to yet? Great question. I've made a few videos on it like this, so maybe go watch that video after this. But step 1 is when you're interviewing with a company, go to their website, go to their About Us section, and read about their culture and their values. Just knowing them gives you a leg up. But then when you're in the interview, you can talk about how you looked up their values to understand, and then you felt immediately like you connected with them. Those are values that are important to you. And this is a organization that's very much so in line with your value system. And if you can do that, you're going to appear to be a value match in the interview, which again, holds a ton of weight. The next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about intentionally emphasizing learning and development and growth. Okay, so why? Well, the reality is if you're getting out of the military and you're interviewing, maybe you're competing against someone who has been in this industry for 5 to 10 years, and you're doing a bit of a transition. So in some ways, they have a bit of an advantage in the sense that they've been in this industry for a while. But what you need to do is you need to show employers that while you are newer to this industry, 1, you have skills like we talked about in the first video that translate very well to that. But 2, that you are focused on continuing to learn and develop and hone your skills that are going to make you a great fit, not only for the industry, but for their organization. As someone who is, maybe late to the game to this specific field, you cannot change what has already happened. But what you can do is you can continue to strive to put yourself in a better position moving forward to be more equipped and to understand the industry and the role more fully. So how do you do that? Well, in your interview, you want to reference these things, right? If you're on Khan Academy, which is an online learning platform, and you're learning about the industry and you want to reference that. If you are reading books or taking courses that familiarize yourself with the industry you're in, the role you're doing, all that kind of stuff, you want to make mention of that because that matters. I'm a recruiter, and when a candidate tells me that on their own free time, they are doing things that are going to make them more equipped to succeed in the future, I relay that information to the hiring manager because that matters. That type of commitment, drive, and the pursuit of gaining more knowledge, it's incredibly helpful. Speaking of things that are going to help you nail your interview and get the job, I want you to watch this video when you're done here. This video here talks about nailing your interview in the first 3 minutes and the last 3 minutes. Now, the middle is important, but studies have shown that nothing is more important than the very beginning and the very end. I titled this How to Get a Job in 6 Minutes because if you watch that video and you nail the first 3 minutes and the last 3 minutes of your interview, you are absolutely going to skyrocket the chance of you getting that job. So I'm done here, but I will see you over there.